Oh, hello. When it comes to Tolarian Community College and my own relationship as a critic of Magic the Gathering, popular consensus has swung back and forth wildly over the years. At times, such as now, I'm often painted as being entirely negative towards this game and the company that makes it, but not too long ago, every move I made was met with an overwhelming amount of sentiment that I was a Wizards of the Coast apologist, suck up, and even secret sellout shill for the game, to the point that I even made an entire parody video lampooning that ridiculous premise. Step 2. Sell out and shill. Question: is shilling easy? Answer: yes, but selling out is a more rigorous and intense process that may take several months to complete. The truth is, I've gone back and counted my positive to negative videos ratio, and it really does skew about 50-50. Oh, maybe at some given points, depending on how far back you count it versus where you're going to start and stop it, might be 60-40 or 40-60, but the truth is I love so much about this game, but due to that love, am also very critical and honest about it, its numerous products, and the company that makes it. In the end, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad about Magic the Gathering, and though it may feel in any given month that I only complain, or as one commenter actually called me, quote-unquote, an empty mouthpiece for a company that has obviously secretly paid me off, in the end, I'm just me, the professor. I have many opinions, all of them strong. This video is about the good in Magic the Gathering that happened this year. And yes, there were many good things to happen in the game in a year that was so often filled with dread, misery, and fear. Don't worry, I'll get to those aspects tomorrow in my worst of video. Here's a clip of that video now.
This is one year I'd like to forget.
Is that the right clip? Yeah, that was the right clip. As always, I want to limit this video to actual things done in or to the game of Magic the Gathering. So things such as Wizards of the Coast's charity work or other good deeds like they're giving over $1 million in free product to local game stores to try and help out during this difficult time are not going to be part of this list, but they certainly are acts that added to the overall good of a very difficult year. But before I get to the 5 best things to happen in Magic this year, I want to first have an honorable mention. I cannot give praise to Magic's story this year because, well, I'm sorry to say that Magic's story is still not very praiseworthy. However, as the year comes to a close, I can see many very promising actions being taken that demonstrate Wizards of the Coast is looking to make serious course correction in the story department. As someone who loves and values Magic's story, it was wonderful to see the return of the weekly web series with Zendikar Rising, the taking away of which was a terrible mistake, and the replacement of them by works such as the War of the Spark novels, even worse. Magic's story works best in this form. Shorter stories made available on the web for everyone to read and enjoy, and not locked behind a pseudo paywall as an ebook, or worse, the archaic printed novel form. Now, while I didn't feel that this first set of returning web stories made much of an impact narrative-wise, what happened in Zendikar Rising? There was something going on in Nahiri. It didn't really leave that big of an impression as the previous web series stories did, but just the very fact that we got back to web stories, got back to trying to do Magic's story as it should be done once again, and have been told that this is going to continue. It wasn't an aberration, but is going to hopefully be the new norm in 2021, that fills me with great hope and optimism. As does the fact that Wizards of the Coast released a clear statement that they have decided to, quote-unquote, tell the stories they want to tell, namely stories that feature characters that reflect wholly the full spectrum and diversity of the Magic the Gathering player base. China and Russia be damned, or, well, not really be damned. Wizards of the Coast would still very much like to do business with with you. Thank you very much, you horrible human rights violating nations that oppose LGBTQ rights, among many, many other things. But we'll just block any stories in those nations that feature the existence of same-sex love and romance between our characters. So, I mean, that's a win. They're going to tell the stories they want to tell, and then, just no one tell Russia or China. Shh. Okay, obviously I'm not going to be convinced until I actually see where all of this goes, but I feel confident that the machine is headed in the right direction. In fact, it's like most of the checklist of things that Spice8Rack and I listed as how we'd save Magic Story have pretty much been done. So they're literally doing almost everything I said they should do. It hasn't fully materialized into an excellent story yet, but I'm gonna give them props for all these steps just the same. Do you kids still say that? To give one props? I don't sound like an old dinosaur when I say I'm gonna give them props. Do I? Well, speaking of giving props, let's actually get to the 5 best things to happen in Magic in 2020. Now, none of those things were that 2020 was dubbed the Year of Commander, but number 5 is what 2020 really was. More so than any other year in Magic's history, 2020 was the Year of the Reprint. Intentional or not, our gluttony of products this year necessitated reprints like never before, from Double Masters to Jumpstart to Fetch Lands, kind of, sort of, maybe quasi-reprinted. We saw more key cards reprinted this year than ever before. I'm going to tell you right now, Double Masters is not on my list of best or worst of the year. It was a great set at a terrible price, and I have many issues with it, but I cannot deny that it drove prices down on a plethora of cards. So while I cannot get behind the product in its entirety, I can get behind the result that product had on the secondary market. That result being greater accessibility and affordability. But it wasn't just Double Masters. I did a video about some of the most needed reprints in Magic, and another video just about cards that had never been reprinted, and from Oracle of Moldiah to the Battle Bond lands to Grim Tutor, we hit nearly every one of them this year. And Grim Tutor, that was in a core set. And as for Fetch Lands, I'm going to be honest with you. While obviously them being reprinted at rare in a $4 a pack set is what I've been demanding for the last million years or so it feels, them being put as a 1 in 3 shot as a box topper in draft booster boxes and set booster boxes and double those odds in collector booster boxes is not bad. That was a better shot at getting a fetch land than if they'd brought back Expeditions in Zendikar Rising, and if they'd brought back Expeditions in Zendikar Rising, I'd have been thrilled for that. So this is therefore even better. It's not perfect, but just like Double Masters, it's part of a larger picture, the picture of the Year of Reprints. And it's one of the best things that happened in Magic in 2020. It was a good year for prices to drop. And speaking of which, the flip side of that coin, not reprints, but rather brand new cards that were new and expanded land cycles, completed land cycles, in some cases, were the 4th best thing to happen in Magic in 2020. From the completion of the Battle Bond land cycle to the innovative and welcome, especially in Commander, of everything from Triomes to Thriving Lands, 2020 brought so many new, efficient lands to be adopted into mana bases, bringing with them new options and new access for players. There's just so many great new lands brought our way, and all of them have a home in a mana base somewhere. These weren't disappointing duds like the Battle for Zendikar Tango lands. Just about any 3-color commander deck is going to want to run a Triome. Obviously, the Battle Bond cycle is a slam dunk for the format as well, but so too are the new pathways, which we already know will see their cycle completed in Kaldheim. The problem with fetch lands is that, as one of the most effective and powerful lands in the game, their must-have status and multi-format applicability drives prices through the roof. Lack of reprints doesn't help there either. But with these new choices, you can now pick and choose what you might want for your decks. And like always, more consumer choice means more competitive pricing. Triomes are still only running $5 to $7 each. If you need one for your commander deck, that's not too bad to pick one up, but if you feel that that's too dear for you, you can easily forego it. It's not a must-have. It's just a nice option. Maybe just get a Pathway land. Those are so good in Commander, aren't they? Or even just pick up a Thriving land, which, since printed at Common, come in at only 30 to 40 cents each. More choices means less price gouge. More innovation means more choices, and 2020 was the year for all of that. Actually, consumer affordability seems to be a recurring theme, because 2020 was the year that inexplicably, and perhaps by accident, Wizards of the Coast took one of their greatest, most popular, best-selling products and essentially cut the price by 50% by bringing us the $15 to $20 Commander pre-constructed deck. And it's the third best thing to happen in Magic all year. When Commander decks first came out, they were $29.99 each, and as popularity grew, so too did their price. Up first to $34.99, again to $39.99, and then MSRP went away, but they seem to hover at or slightly above there. Deep down, we all knew that if Wizards of the Coast could sell Planeswalker decks for $14.99 each, then it shouldn't be so hard to throw in another 40 cards and call it a Commander deck, and that's just what they did. Only unlike Planeswalker decks, these new Commander decks were actually worth buying, and you could actually play with. Well, the Zendikar Rising ones were anyway. Ironically, it was the Commander Legends Commander decks that were pretty disappointing. Apparently these were designed first, but then released second, so maybe that gives us hope for the third iteration coming out in Kaldheim, which early reports confirm, yes, are going to be the exact same low price. Hopefully, the high quality that was established in Zendikar Rising, And these Commander decks were absolutely one of the best things to happen in Magic this year for no other reason than proving how inflated the prices are on Magic product. And it sets such a strong precedent for Commander decks to only be $15 to $20 instead of $40 to $45 for the exact same amount of cards, for an awesome deck that's playable right out of the box, stuffed full of cool reprints and several new cards as well. Say it with me now, there's no going back to $40 to $45 Commander decks. When the set after Kaldheim comes out and it's, Return to New Phyrexia or something like that, don't just run out and buy them if they offer them because they've got Phyrexian Praetors as their legendaries, or maybe one of them has a brand new Koth of the Hammer Planeswalker that can be your commander. It's, oh my god, who am I kidding? You guys are all going to run out and buy those immediately. They could probably charge $70 and you'd buy it. You're the problem. You're why they do. All right, so what are the two best things to happen in Magic this year? Well, I feel that number 2 is no mystery, and that's because it's mystery boosters. Yeah, mystery boosters were this year. Mystery boosters were fun, stuffed full of reprints, and stuffed full of value, and offered at what was supposed to be more or less the same price as draft boosters. Indeed, before the supply crunch hit, I was picking up boxes for under $100 each, which I feel very strongly helps indicate the intended market price on these was along the lines of classic sets like Battle Bond, Conspiracy, Unstable. Those were all $4 a pack, and mystery boosters were supposed to be too. Now, this price obviously didn't hold, and mystery boosters were the first product this year to fall victim to the global instability caused by the pandemic, but I do not think that I am going to fault that against the product. Had there been no crisis, these would have been kept stocked on shelves at that initial affordable price, and that as a product, as something for the game, this was one of the best things this year, because it was an actual part of the game. Yes, it's true mystery booster packs were stuffed twice over with reprints, but they were designed to simulate a chaos draft. They were designed to be played, something we see less and less of with premium collectors boosters, set boosters, $100 VIP boosters, endless secret layers, that their value was not just in selling a small collector's chest with weird art or premium packs that can't be played with. Their selling point was the game first. The reprints you might crack and keep were a delicious frosting on that wonderful chaos cake. In fact, the only bad thing about mystery boosters was maybe their name, which led to public confusion and distrust of the product, when in fact these should have been called Chaos boosters, in reference to the Chaos Draft format that they were emulating. But in a year where most Magic the Gathering products were not about the game and just about their high price tag, mystery boosters were one of the best things to happen in it. And along very similar lines, I think it should come as no surprise that the greatest thing to happen in Magic the Gathering all year was Jumpstart, another product that, though packed full of both reprints and brand new cards, collector's pieces like special artwork lands, despite all of that, it was still, at the end of the day, the greatest thing to happen in Magic the Gathering this year simply because it was so much fun to play. We heard so much from Wizards of the Coast about how much money various dubious products of this year earned for the corporation, but how about this as a metric for a game company? Is it fun to play? Did people love playing with your game? That's my metric here, and Jumpstart was an absolute blast, more so than anything else that came out this year. When I first heard about Jumpstart, I'll admit I was dubious. I was burnt out on products like Game Night, where lackluster and boring decks were designed for new players that Wizards of the Coast felt couldn't handle real Magic. And so when I heard Jumpstart would be replacing those products, when I saw the name and the goal as a way to help players jump their start into playing Magic, I thought we were essentially getting Game Night level decks, divided into two and sold in booster packs. I could not have been more wrong in my suspicions. Jumpstart ended up being some of the most fun I've had playing Magic in 2020. And you know what? I got a lot of great games of Webcam Commander in this year. Jumpstart decks were fun, innovative, and had powerful and effective cards in them. No 3-mana shock or whatever. Here's where we got everything from reprints of Oracle of Moldiah to brand new cards of complexity and interest like Tiny Bones. Brand new players could pick up 2 packs and sit down and play with old-timers such as myself. Casuals could sit down across from their spiky loved ones and just shuffle up and play. No 2 games were the same, and Magic the Gathering players could, with a little pre-planning, create a reusable Jumpstart deck storage system so that they did not have to keep buying box after box of Jumpstart to keep playing. 1 box of Jumpstart, which initially was selling for only a little bit more than a draft booster box, can last a player for life. Jumpstart was a Magic the Gathering product that was for you, that was for everybody, and it was a game first and foremost. Not only that, it was intended to be affordable. And again, just like mystery boosters, or perhaps even a little worse so, Jumpstart suffered greatly due to the pandemic of this year, but I cannot bring myself to fault the supply problems caused by a global crisis on the overall quality of this product. Wizards of the Coast could easily have just washed their hands of the whole mess. What are we supposed to do? But you know what? They did work to try and get additional printings of Jumpstart out to stores. And while ultimately inelegant, depending on where in the world you are, you can find Jumpstart boxes for about $115 US today. And that's a really excellent price on an even more excellent product. The greatest thing to happen in Magic the Gathering all year. But that, of course, is just my list and my evaluation. And also, But that, of course, is just my list and my evaluation. What do you think some of the best things to happen in Magic this year were? This video examined the best of only what happened in Magic the Gathering, the game this year, but outside of Magic, I feel there was a lot of greatness as well. Yes, this was a year of pain and anguish and despair, but in our own lives, we witnessed acts of love and kindness. You yourself probably tried to help someone you love, or perhaps were helped by someone who loves you. And though those actions didn't get a video devoted to them, they are great nonetheless, even more extraordinary than anything covered here. You made this dark year a little brighter for the people in your life through those actions and through just being here with all of us. I am so happy to have you as part of the Magic the Gathering community. Thank you for the gift of you.